Today is day 20. Take a look at the label. These are blind tastings for me, so I'm guessing, and sometimes I'm guessing right. So let's do this. Welcome to Whisky Riffs. I'm Kevin, and this is day 20 of the Flaviar Advent Calendar, my blind tasting series. You can take a look at the front of the label. I can't because it tells the country of origin, and that would kind of spoil the surprise for me when I get it wrong or when I get it right. I have gotten it right a few times, so let's see what happens on day 20. Feels good to be getting close to the end of this calendar. It's been a little rougher to do these tastings when I'm not in my own studio back in San Francisco, but that's no longer there. I sold that, sold everything. My wife and I are out here alone, and all I have is this glass, what I poured in it, and you to keep me company. So let's see what the nose is like. Oh, wow, that's a very different nose. That's fruity nose. This is a very dark whiskey, so I'm a little confused about what I'm getting into here. I think we got some finishing going on. Don't normally get these kind of fruit notes without some sort of wine casking. But also because it's so fruity, I'm not getting much of the grain note. Get a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of citrus, and then berries. Pleasant on the nose if you're looking for something sweet. And that first note, when I tasted it, was very mild. I mean, there's a finish on it, but very little wood spice. A little tiny pepper note, but even very little of that. This is probably a low ABV whiskey because it really went down very smoothly. So fruity, sweet on the taste, but not overly sweet. Getting a tiny bit of pepper spice, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel notes. If I hadn't guessed Japan yesterday and got it right, I would guess Japan again today because this is a very mild whiskey and that is a common note for Japan. But you know, there have not been enough Scotch whiskeys in this case. Have there been any? I don't think there's been any yet. I've guessed so many times that it's Highland Scotch that I think there has been some, but there hasn't. I really hate to say this is a Highland Scotch because it doesn't smell like that. Well, when are we going to get to Scotland? I don't know if we're ever going to get there. Low ABV, very mild taste, very subtle finish. This might be like a wheated bourbon or just a wheat whiskey in general because it's very sweet. It's very one note to me. I'm not getting a ton of flavors. I'm going with a wheated whiskey because I can't figure out anything else in this. Let's see where we are. Product of Australia. Okay, that kind of makes sense. I've had a few Australian whiskeys that I really like that were a little more on the mild side. So let me go ahead and pull up the Flaviar app, see what we got here. We are on day 20, getting down to that last row. Tomorrow we'll start that. Okay, revealing day 20. This is a whiskey that I've actually tasted before. Nova Single Malt Whiskey, Starward. It's a $48 Australian whiskey. It's 41% ABV, which is why there's just not a lot of burn, not a lot of hit. But I was getting what I thought were some malted notes. They were just so mild and so covered up by the fruitiness that I couldn't really say honestly that this was a Scotch. I do like that it's a single malt, and I do like some of the whiskeys from Scotland. I did own bottles from Australia, and Starward was one of the distilleries that I owned bottles from. So I do appreciate them. I don't think I've had Nova specifically. I think I've had their other expressions. So the tasting notes are fruit, red berries, oak, spicy tropical fruits, dry, sweet, savory, vanilla. Yeah, a lot of sweetness, a lot of one noteness after that first taste because I think the ABV is a little bit too low on this one. But I love this note. It's from Melbourne, Australia, and Melbourne is famous for its insane weather where all four seasons present themselves in one day like it's a demo. That's great. And this makes a lot of sense. They're saying that they aged this whiskey in red wine barrels, which is where I'm getting a little bit of the color and some of that sweetness from my finished whiskey. That makes total sense to me. So I think if you're looking for a whiskey that is not going to smack you in the face, something that's a little calmer, a little sweeter, and just a nice dram. I really did enjoy this dram. It just confused the heck out of me. I would try Starward. They have some really good expressions, and I really appreciate the work they're doing down there. But what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. Until tomorrow, take care of yourself. Take care of those people around you. And cheers.